We had a subdivision project that we were working on, and we are doing an update. Now, what I had to do is that it looks like with the original subdivision, it was just one parcel, but I guess after a year, the developer worked with the county, and it looks like they were able to cut that parcel up, which is supposed to happen, right? A subdivision, you want to cut up one parcel into however many lots you're going to build a single family units on, or duplexes, triplex, and so on. But it looks like when we're doing the update, it looks like one of the parcels, it was split. So the original parcel was reduced, and then the remainder was actually cut up per the plans. What I had to do was click on every single parcel, the little small ones, the new ones, and then check to see if there's any tax associated with it, if there's any assessed values associated with it, and then also check the size, just make sure the size matches with the plat map, and then as well, also get the account number, put that into a grid. So I just spent, I guess, maybe 15-30 minutes just doing that. Not difficult, it's just time consuming. Depending on the county that you are having to work with, some counties have all the information. The information is just easy to find, but there are some counties where the information is just takes a while, either because the site is slow or you just got to click multiple places or multiple tabs. But that's all updated, and the next thing I'm going to work on is doing some land comparables for a different industrial property we're working on. So the next thing we did, we're doing another update today. This is an industrial property close to Clackamas. It's more in the rural area. So this is not proposed, it's a brand new industrial slash office. Basically, we did this property already last year, and it's coming in again as an update. This happens frequently when someone is building something and they need to have the value appraised and just see what it's worth at the end of the appraisal or at the end of the construction. And then once it's finally built, generally they'll have it appraised again just to make sure to see how much the property is valued, either depending on the market conditions. Maybe they're trying to get some more cash out, or maybe they're not fully done with construction. They got a little bit of stuff to do left, but they're trying to get more cash out of it. And generally when the property is near completion or almost completely built, sometimes the value can be a little bit higher, or sometimes you can get more cash. But that's all depending on the market. Like right now, the interest rates are kind of high. So because the interest rates are so high, it reduces your borrowing power. So a lot of the values that we're doing with these recent updates, they're coming in lower. So looks like before, what we did in the past, we just had to do one approach, and that one approach was the sales approach. So with the sales approach, you just compare it to other improved buildings in the area. That's what we did last time, but it looks like this time the client needs all three approaches. So the three approaches are, you have the cost approach, you have the sales approach, and then you have the income approach. So what we just have to do is we just built a bunch of land sales in the area, and then we just add that to our Excel workbook. The next thing we have to do is the sales approach. The other approach that we were missing that we didn't do last time is the income approach. So for the income approach, what you're going to generally want to do is you're going to get some rents in the area. So for this particular property, we're going to look at industrial rents. So you're going to look at different industrial rents in the metropolitan area, and you're going to see, if someone were to lease this building, how much would they gain in income, or how much would tenants or people in the markets, how much would they pay for industrial buildings similar to the subjects that we're appraising. So once you have that, put that into an array and say, okay, well, it looks like people are paying $10 a square foot, $20 a square foot. So our property is 3,000 square foot, for example, then 3,000 times 20, the potential gross income is that. So that's all done. So that's all we need to do currently for that industrial property that we're appraising. And the next thing I'm going to have to work on is some apartments. So that's going to be fun. So far, I've been working on a workbook, the Excel for some mixed-use multifamily apartment portfolio that we're working on. Part of 2 properties. I'm working on one right now. This one's in downtown Portland. So far, all I did was I took the rent roll. Rent roll is basically an Excel or PDF which lists out, all the tenants in the apartment, what their market rate is, their contract rate, square footage. So I took that, cleaned it up, and then I put it into the Excel, that model that we have. Then after I put that in, next thing I did was do the sale adjustments. So we have some sale comps that we're using to compare to the property. I think I might actually edit those sale comps because they're coming in a little higher than what our subject is, and that's because our subject, the units are a lot smaller. So generally when the unit's a little bit smaller, that also kind of compresses the price per unit. Larger units, there's a better efficiency, and so they generally sell more on a price per unit basis. So I kind of cleaned up the Excel, cleaned up the sales grid, and then after that I was looking at the prior report that we did, because this is again an update, looks like this property has, some retail space in it as well. So it's actually a mixed use. And I was aware of that going in. So I also had to clean up the retail comps. We had someone else on our team build those retail comps. They built in 12. We can only fit 10 in the grid, but I made them build more than 10 just so we have some buffer in case, one retail didn't work out. There's too big, too small, the space is too old, lease date is too old. So that I narrowed it down to 10, got the price per square foot for retail spaces on triple net basis. So that's all added in. And then I believe we need to do land sales for this one as well. So I got to take a look at that. Just so the majority of my time was just literally spent on adding in the rent roll, which is the income, tweaking the rents as well, making sure that we have at least sufficient amount of rents to compare to how our subjects are performing in terms of market rent. Got that cleaned up, and then I cleaned up the sales. Once I cleaned up the sales, one thing I need to check as well for this one is that I'm looking at the historic operating statement for this property. Now we have a budget saying how much they're assuming they're going to get, how much they're budgeting for in terms of the commercial rent, but I'm not showing that in the historic operating statement. So I'm probably going to have to call the property manager and just say, hey, can you check into this and see why I'm not seeing like an allocation for commercial rent? Because there is a tenant there right now, so they should have some sort of budget for commercial rents. I'll call them later because it looks like, it's 12:25 right now. It's probably lunchtime. So this one, I'm just in the Excel right now. This is not even writing the report. This is the analysis part. We kind of have all the values kind of lined up, get all the comps in order. I still need to do cost approach. I also need to edit the historic operating expenses and add the budget. They sent us an Excel and a PDF. I need to clean that up, put it all into Excel. I also need to put it into a different model that we have that kind of breaks everything into the correct format that we use to pour it into the operating expense. So I need to clean up their Excel. So yeah, I'm probably gonna spend another 2 hours on this, just on the Excel. But I'm gonna go grab something to eat first because I'm hungry, and then we'll come back to this in a bit. Okay, it is 2:15 p.m. I have not finished this workbook yet, and that is because I took a lunch and then I had a phone call and time to get back to work. But basically what needs to be done is what I need to do is I need to take the budget, and that is in a PDF, so I need to convert that to Excel. And then generally we convert something from Excel to PDF depending on how it's printed. Sometimes the export is super clean. In this case it is not clean, so I'm gonna have to spend probably 20 minutes to 30 minutes just cleaning up this Excel, and then using that cleanup Excel to put it into a different Excel, which then cleans that up and then puts it into a different Excel. Basically I'm doing the direct capped approach, is trying to figure out, with this property, this part of the income approach is basically we can kind of estimate how much this property should produce in income, but we also need to know how much it's going to cost to operate this apartment. And that's where operating expenses come in. So we're going to look at historically how much it took or how much it costs for this property to operate. We're also going to take the budget. A lot of these property owners or the property management, they will have an estimated budget of how much they think they're going to make that year and how much it's going to cost to operate and run the apartment. So I'm going to take that, and then after that we're going to take some expense comps. Expense comps are basically similar property types, in this scenario similar apartments that are either in similar size, similar unit count, similar location, how much it costs for those to run and operate. Generally what we use for operating expenses are prior reports that we've done. So for Portland mid-rise, over 100 units, we've appraised so many of those within this year and last year. So we can use those properties as operating expenses because operating expense comps, because we actually have accurate data of how much it took or how much it costs to run those properties. Anyways, so I got to do that, and then once I kind of come into the income approach and kind of find out, how much the property is worth, then I can go back to my sales approach, because apparently my sales approach was a little bit too high. That's only because I was using comps from a different mid-rise apartment, but the apartment itself was bigger, the units were bigger, the location was better. So it makes sense that the price per unit for the other job that we did, that I was using as a reference, would have expensive sale comps. So I need to find different sale comps. But before I even do that, clean the expense comps, put that into the income approach, kind of fill down with the values, see where I'm coming out price per unit, and then look at the sales, get some more sales that kind of line up with that, kind of massage the values. And then I need to do cost approach, which is basically I need to look at an Excel spreadsheet, find out and determine with this type of property how much it's going to cost. I think there's a new Marshall and Swift database or an Excel for no November because we're mid-November right now. So I'm going to pull that up, but it's 2:18 now. And so we will see how long it takes. This is just one of the 5 workbooks I need to do. And I don't know if I can get all 5 done today. I probably get 2 done. But 5, I don't. These are 5 updates, right? So in theory, they should go by quick because we've already done these properties before. But with anytime you do like an apartment appraisal, you know, there's just a lot of data you have to look at, right? You gotta look at, especially with a mixed use, right? If you have the uppers as the apartment and the ground floor is mixed use retail, then you got to look at, you know, apartment rents, retail rents. And then if the client wants cost approach, and you look at land comps, definitely need sale comps. And so it's just these 2 that I'm doing are mixed use. Client wants all 3 approaches, so it's taking a lot longer. After that, and they want these verbal values tomorrow too. No point in complaining. All right, let's get this done. Okay. It is 6:54 p.m. and I finished the workbook and the Word document for one of the commercial properties that we're working on, the one with ground floor retail and upper apartments. I'm way off on the value. So tomorrow we're gonna have an office day and I'm just gonna give it to my senior appraiser. Just said, hey, I'm not getting the right values. So he's gonna go ahead and make some tweaks tomorrow. For now, I'm done with the majority of it. This just needs the values to be massaged. Honestly, I think along all 3 approaches, I'm completely off. Like my income approach, I'm coming in super short. My sales, I'm coming in super high, low on the cost, but then high on the insurable value. So I'm tired. I still have to do one more at the very least. So I'm going to copy this, clone it. I mean, the formatting's all done for the Word document and the Excel workbook. So the formatting's done. I'm just gonna copy this and then I'm gonna go ahead and paste it. And then I'm gonna redo all the financials on that one, put in the second financials. That one, I still need to do the operating historic information. Actually, I believe I did that already. I need to look at the prior report and then add the historics. I think we got 2018 to 2020, so I'm gonna add that in. That's not difficult. I mean, basically all the hard stuff I'm done, right? I have all the financials, all that information. Oh, wait, I do need to update the trailing 12 operating expense information for the subject. So the second one I'm doing. I think hopefully just doing the second one, and because I'm cloning the workbook, it's the same client, property's mostly the same, just gotta tweak a little bit of stuff. Hopefully this one should only take me an hour, and I think I'm gonna be okay with that for the day, because I can't do 5 reports in one day. Not today. Still gotta keep working. This is, I don't know if this is considered a typical day, but for the majority, yes. This is what I do. All right. Let's keep working. It is 9:15. I am pretty much done with 2 workbooks. Tomorrow I'll go ahead and get those updated and get those reviewed, but I'm burnt. I'm done. Tomorrow 2 values are due. That will get finished. And the day after, 3 more. Need verbal and written values. I can work on those tomorrow after we review 2 of the assignments tomorrow. But as of now, it is 9 o'clock, 9:15. I'm tired. I'm going to call it a night, go wash myself up, get some rest, and tomorrow, another day. Anyways, I hope you enjoy this. Thanks for watching. Catch you next time.